Prologue. The demons did not vanish when the worlds merged. They adapted. From the shadows beyond the fractured edges of reality, they watched the fusion unfold not as chaos to fear, but as opportunity to seize. Where others saw instability, they saw weakness. Where others saw disaster, they saw advantage. The merging had weakened ancient barriers. Magic currents twisted into unfamiliar patterns. Entire regions of land became unstable, thin places where reality hummed too loudly and corruption seeped too easily. The demons moved first. They descended without warning upon the elven kingdom, their arrival darkening the skies and warping forests that had stood untouched for centuries. Corrupted energy poured across the land like a second shadow, bending creatures and soil alike to their will. But this time, the elves did not stand alone. The good human kingdom answered immediately. No debates. No hesitation. Mages and soldiers crossed borders as if they had never existed, reinforcing elven defenses with disciplined precision. Fire and light rose beside ancient elven wards. Human spellcraft wove through forest magic, forming something neither kingdom could have shaped alone. Steel clashed. Magic flared. The sky above them, still unsettled from the fusion of universes, shimmered faintly, as though reality itself watched the outcome. It became clear quickly. This was not the old war reborn. The demons had evolved. And if the United Kingdoms could not evolve with them, they would not fall separately. They would fall together. Chapter 1: The Discipline of Light. The war does not return quietly. It spreads across the merged lands like fire finding dry ground, demons pressing against elven forests and human fortresses alike. Corruption moves differently now, sharper, more deliberate, as if guided by intent rather than instinct. But I do not answer with overwhelming force. I answer with restraint. The green light flows through me the moment I step onto the battlefield, steady and responsive, but I do not let it surge. I do not let it roar. I shape it carefully, each shield placed exactly where it is needed, each strike delivered with measured force rather than explosive dominance. Demons crash against our lines, their movements precise and cruel. Their corruption cuts deeper than before, their tactics refined. Yet I refuse to escalate in response. Every pulse of healing is deliberate. Every barrier layered intentionally. Every advance calculated. It feels less like wielding power and more like teaching it. Tess notices. I can tell by the way she watches me between strikes, reading my movements the way she always has. She sees the difference, the absence of urgency, the refusal to overwhelm. But she says nothing. She trusts me. The soldiers around us see strength. They see light pushing back darkness, demons falling where I move. What they don't see is the restraint behind it, the constant adjustment, the careful modulation of energy that could easily drown the field if I allowed it. Because beneath the surface of the green light, I feel something shifting. Not unstable. Not hostile. Waiting. There is depth to it now that wasn't there before. A pressure coiled somewhere far below what I normally draw upon. It doesn't strain to rise, but it listens. Observes. As if testing whether I deserve to reach further. For the first time since mastering it, I understand something clearly. More power is not always the answer. The demons attack in waves, corruption spreading through fractured zones left by the universal fusion. Human mages and elven wardens fight beside me, their coordination seamless, proof that unity was not temporary. Together we push forward, not dramatically, not recklessly, but steadily. Control over dominance. Precision over spectacle. The battle stretches on, demons falling back inch by inch. The ground steadies. The sky clears slightly, though never completely. And through it all, I remain careful. Because whatever is coming next, whatever the demons have prepared, whatever the fusion has made possible, it will demand discipline the green light has never required before. If I unleash everything now, I may win a battle. If I learn restraint, I might survive what comes after. And something tells me the war we are fighting is only the surface of what is about to awaken. Chapter 2: The weight of what I carry. The battle ends, but the war does not. It lingers in the air like smoke that refuses to clear. We gather that evening in a rare pocket of quiet. Tess beside me, my mom and dad across the table. Outside, soldiers rotate shifts and mages reinforce wards. Inside, the room feels small in a way that makes honesty easier. For a long time, no one speaks. Then I do. There's something I haven't said out loud yet, I begin. Tess shifts slightly, attentive. My parents wait. The green light, I pause, choosing the words carefully. It's powerful. Maybe more powerful than anything this merged world has ever seen. That part isn't pride. It's fact. But power like that isn't automatically protection. Silence follows. I lean forward slightly. Sometimes I can feel it straining. Not against me but outward. Like if I push it too far, it won't just hit what I aim at. It could ripple. Spread. Hurt things I never meant to touch. The memory of the time rewind lingers unspoken between us. We all know what unchecked power can do even when used for the right reasons. Tess studies me before answering. Strength without discipline isn't protection, she says quietly. It's risk. She doesn't say it harshly. Just honestly. My mom nods. Good intentions don't prevent damage, she adds. If you're guided by fear instead of clarity, even the right choice can leave scars. My dad folds his hands on the table. And real power, he says calmly, is knowing when not to use it. The words settle deeper than any battle strategy. I sit back, letting the truth of it settle in my chest. The green light isn't just something to unleash when things go wrong. It isn't a last resort to burn away problems or rewrite outcomes. It's something to master. Not just in combat but in restraint. Because I understand now what I didn't fully grasp before. The demons have evolved. The world has changed. The fusion has rewritten rules we barely understand. If this war tests me in ways the last one didn't, then overwhelming force won't be the solution. Discipline will be. And sitting there, surrounded by the people I protect, not with shields, not with light, but with presence, I realize something important. The greatest threat the green light poses isn't what it can destroy. It's what it could destroy accidentally. If I lose control. And I won't. Not again. Chapter 3: Learning to Stand. The war presses in from every direction. Even when the battlefield is miles away, its presence lingers through reports, through tension in the air, through the simple understanding that no place is permanently safe anymore. That's why I decide to teach my dad. Not to make him a warrior. Not to turn him into something he isn't. But to make sure that if the war ever reaches home, he won't stand helpless. We start simple. No magic. No green light. Just balance. I show him how to plant his feet properly, how to distribute weight so he isn't easily thrown off center. How to keep his guard up without locking his shoulders. How to watch hands and hips instead of eyes. Awareness first, I tell him. Strength second. He struggles. Not because he lacks determination but because the movements are unfamiliar. Controlled strikes instead of wild swings. Angles instead of force. He stumbles more than once, mutters under his breath, adjusts, tries again. And keeps going. I realize something watching him. Courage doesn't always look like charging into danger. Sometimes it looks like showing up every day to learn how not to fall. While he practices, I refine something else. The green light. I don't call it forth dramatically. I let it flow in narrow streams, thin and deliberate. I shape it into smaller shields no wider than my arm span. I practice reinforcing my own movements, adding subtle strength to balance rather than brute force to strikes. It's harder than overwhelming power ever was. Holding back demands attention. Precision demands patience. There's no surge to rely on, no explosion to mask mistakes. Every adjustment is conscious. I shape thinner barriers. Sharper bursts that cut only what I intend. Subtle reinforcement that strengthens a step instead of flattening the ground. The green light responds differently now. Not restless. Not straining. Listening. By the end of the day, my dad stands a little steadier. His stance holds longer. His strikes land cleaner. He's still not a soldier, but he's not helpless either. And in my hands, the green light feels quieter. Not weaker. More obedient. I understand something as the sun sets and we call it for the day. Mastery isn't built in moments of chaos. It isn't forged in desperation. It's shaped here in repetition, in patience, in the quiet decision to improve one fraction at a time. The war may demand power, but discipline is what will carry us through it. Chapter 4 Between the Currents. Determined to push my mastery further, I devote myself entirely to refining control over the green light. Not strength. Not scale. Control. I isolate myself from distraction, choosing quiet over chaos, repetition over spectacle. I practice sustaining minimal output for long stretches of time, forcing the green light into delicate shapes instead of overwhelming shields. Thin strands. Narrow arcs. Subtle reinforcement that barely disturbs the air. At first, it resists not violently, but impatiently. The green light has always responded more easily to urgency than stillness. But I don't let it surge. I divide it carefully, redirecting the flow into smaller channels, learning how finely I can split it without destabilizing the current. The training becomes less about combat and more about awareness. I close my eyes and focus inward. I feel how the green light moves through me not as heat or pressure, but as intention. It reacts to thought before emotion, to clarity before impulse. When I quiet my mind completely, the energy steadies instead of fading. That realization shifts everything. For hours, I repeat the process. Sustain. Shape. Release. Sustain again. No wasted motion. No excess. Just discipline. Then something changes. The air grows unnaturally still. Not quiet in the absence of sound, still in the absence of resistance. The green light hums at a frequency I've never sensed before, deeper and smoother, like a current that extends far beyond my body. I open my eyes. The world flickers. Without warning, space collapses softly beneath my feet, not violently, not tearing like before, but folding inward as if it has simply finished pretending to be solid. The battlefield. The kingdom. The horizon. Gone. I am standing somewhere else. There is no ground in the way I understand it, yet I am not falling. No sky, yet light surrounds me. Endless points of soft luminosity stretch in every direction, distant, infinite, quiet. It feels vast. Not empty. Alive. The green light does not flare. It resonates. And I understand with sudden clarity. I have not been transported somewhere. I have stepped into something. The space between realities. The current beneath the current. The place the green light touches before it ever touches me. I stand there, unmoving, the silence almost reverent. This is not a battlefield. It is not a void. It is structure. Foundation. And whatever this place is, it has been waiting for me to notice it. Chapter 5 Phase 1. The space between realities does not shift when the blue figure appears. It simply acknowledges it. The light around me softens, and there, calm, steady, unchanged, is the presence I have not seen since everything began. The blue light holder. It does not step forward. It does not radiate power. It simply is, as though this place belongs to it more than it belongs to me. You have questions, it says not aloud, but directly within understanding. I do. I have carried them for years. What is this? I ask. What is the green light? Why me? The figure's glow pulses faintly. The color, it begins, means nothing mystical. That answer surprises me. It reflects the user's favored color. A personal imprint. Not destiny. Not prophecy. Not rank. The green light. Not sacred. Not symbolic. Just, mine. Every individual's light manifests differently, it continues. The source is constant. The expression is not. The space hums softly as the explanation unfolds. The power is partly encoded within your DNA, the figure says. A dormant trait. Some are born closer to awakening than others. If one parent carries the light gene, the potential increases. If both do, the likelihood strengthens further. Genetics. Inheritance. But it does not stop there. Yet genetics alone do not determine strength, the figure continues. Potential is shaped by personality. Discipline. Emotional balance. The choices one makes when power is available. I think of the rewind. Of restraint. Of holding back instead of unleashing. The universe does not grant this power randomly, the figure says. It selects someone capable of carrying its weight. That truth lands heavier than anything else. Not chosen because I was strongest. Chosen because I could endure it. Everything you have achieved, it continues, is foundational. A faint shift ripples through the endless lights around us. You have mastered phase 1. The words echo without sound. Of 10. The number does not feel triumphant. It feels vast. 10 phases. And I have only reached the first. Control was not the peak. It was the beginning. The revelation does not inflate me, it humbles me. Every battle. Every surge. Every moment I thought I had reached my limits was simply a threshold. Phase 1, control. Necessary. Incomplete. The blue light around the figure begins to dim, not fading, but withdrawing. You are not finished, it says. You are prepared. The space between realities softens. The endless lights stretch outward once more. And as the figure dissolves into the luminous horizon, I understand something with absolute clarity. Restraint was not weakness. It was the test. And beyond control lies something far greater than power. Something I am only just beginning to approach. Chapter 6: The First Spark. I return to the merged universe without transition. No falling. No tearing. One moment I am standing in endless light, the next I am exactly where I left the battlefield. Steel clashes. Demons roar. The air hums with tension. No time has passed. And yet something about me has. The green light does not rush back into me. It is already there. It no longer feels like something I summon. There is no call, no pull, no gathering of energy before release. Instead, it rests beneath my skin, a steady presence, quiet but unmistakable. A constant glow layered into my being. Fused. The battle ends without incident. Discipline holds. Control remains steady. But even as I fight, I am aware of the difference. The light is not responding to me. It is moving with me. Later, when I finally return home, I expect the shock of the day to settle into something manageable. It doesn't. Emily is sitting on the floor, playing with her favorite stuffed animal, the one she insisted on at the beach. Tess watches from across the room, relaxed in a way that feels rare. Then it happens. A small spark flashes. Soft. Pink. At first, I think it's a reflection of evening light. Then the spark expands just a little and the stuffed animal bursts apart in a harmless but unmistakable surge of energy. Fabric scatters. Threads unravel. The room falls completely silent. Emily stares at her empty hands, confused before tears begin to gather. Tess freezes. My parents look at me. But I already know. Her light. It isn't green. It's pink. And it isn't random. The blue figure's words return with terrifying clarity. The color reflects the user. Encoded in DNA. Potential increases if one or both parents carry the gene. True strength shaped by personality and balance. She's too young. Far too young to awaken anything intentionally. I kneel calmly beside her, even as my thoughts race. I repair the toy gently with magic, threads reweaving themselves into place as if nothing happened. Emily's tears slow the moment it returns to her arms. But I am not calm inside. This is not coincidence. This is inheritance. And it's starting earlier than I ever imagined. I lift her hands gently in mine. Hey, I say softly. It's okay. Small pink sparks shimmer around her fingers again, tiny, curious, unformed. The light listens to how you feel, I tell her, keeping my voice steady. If you're scared, it gets loud. If you're calm, it listens better. She doesn't fully understand the words. But she understands tone. I breathe slowly, letting my own green light settle into a quiet hum, not overwhelming her spark but harmonizing with it. Calm, I repeat gently. The sparks flicker. Then soften. Emily blinks, fascinated now instead of frightened. And in that moment, I understand something far larger than the shock. This isn't just inheritance. This is continuation. A new generation carrying something neither of us fully understands yet. The green light beneath my skin feels different now, not protective, not dominant. Connected. And as pink shimmer fades from her fingertips, I realize the truth with a mixture of awe and responsibility. Phase 1 was never just about me. It was preparation. For what comes next. For who comes next. And whatever the future demands of this merged universe. It will not face it with only one bearer of light. Chapter 7, Teaching Light to Grow. Training Emily is nothing like training myself. When I awakened, it was chaos. Desperation. Crisis forcing power into motion before I understood what it was. The green light surged because it had to. Her awakening is different. Gentler. But unpredictable. The pink light flickers around her hands whenever her emotions spike too quickly: excitement, frustration, even laughter. It's not violent. It's curious. Like it doesn't yet understand the difference between feeling and action. So I start with the same foundation I once learned. Breathing. Focus. Intention before action. But I adapt it for her. Discipline becomes games. Control becomes something playful instead of rigid. We count slow breaths together. We imagine the light as a tiny lantern instead of a fire. I teach her to hold the glow the way she holds her favorite toy, carefully, gently. I don't push her limits. I teach her how to slow down. Feel it, I tell her softly, guiding her hands in mine. Don't chase it. Instead of encouraging release, I encourage rest. Instead of strength, stillness. The green glow beneath my skin remains steady as I guide her, never overwhelming, never correcting harshly. It hums in quiet harmony with the pink shimmer around her fingers. And in those quiet moments, I begin to understand something deeper. Mastery isn't about how much power you can unleash. It's about how safely you can hold it. Emily's brow furrows as she concentrates, tongue slightly peeking out the way it always does when she's trying her hardest. The pink light trembles, then steadies. Just a small spark. Stable. Contained. Nothing breaks. Nothing bursts. It simply glows. Her face lights up with pride brighter than the spark itself. She laughs, clapping her hands, careful this time, and the light flickers but doesn't explode. I smile, but inside, I feel something heavier. This training isn't about strength. It's about understanding the weight she carries long before the world ever demands she use it. She doesn't need to become powerful. She needs to become steady. And as the pink spark fades gently from her fingertips, I realize that the greatest lesson I can give her isn't how to fight. It's how to remain herself, no matter how much light she holds. Chapter 8, A Quiet December. Time passes in smaller, kinder ways. Long enough for tension to ease without disappearing. Long enough for routines to form again. Long enough that when winter settles across the merged world, it feels almost natural. Before we know it, it's Emily's second Christmas here. The house glows softly in the evening light. The tree stands near the window, branches heavy with ornaments collected from two worlds, some carved from elven wood, some shaped from human glass, some handmade and imperfect in the best way. For once, there are no alarms. No distant tremors. No war council waiting beyond the door. Just family. Emily sits beneath the tree with wide eyes, barely containing her excitement as she tears open wrapping paper with impatient joy. She doesn't care about neat edges or careful ribbons, she wants to see what's inside. Stuffed animals. More than she probably needs. She gathers them close one by one, adding each to her growing collection like treasures. Then comes a small pile of carefully rationed candy, and her grin widens so much it nearly splits her face in half. Tess laughs beside me, the sound warm and unguarded. My parents watch with the quiet satisfaction of people who have seen enough darkness to appreciate something this simple. For a little while, the war feels distant. Unreal. The green light beneath my skin remains calm. The pink shimmer that sometimes flickers around Emily's fingers stays quiet, resting instead of reacting, as if even the light understands this moment isn't about power. It's about presence. Emily hugs her new toys tightly, surrounded by soft lights and familiar voices. No fear. No tension. Just contentment. And watching her, I'm reminded again of something I've had to relearn more than once. Strength isn't measured in battles won. It's measured in how much peace we manage to preserve long enough for moments like this to exist. The world may still be fragile. Reality may still be adjusting. But tonight, beneath quiet lights and gentle laughter, everything feels steady. And for now, that is enough. Chapter 9, What Love Unlocks. The war does not return gradually. It detonates. Demon forces surge across the merged lands in numbers greater than before, their coordination sharper, their corruption heavier in the air. The sky darkens not with smoke but with pressure. The ground trembles beneath synchronized advance. This is no scattered incursion. This is calculated. I step into the battlefield with the discipline I forged through restraint. The green light flows cleanly through me, precise and measured. I reinforce elven barriers. Strengthen human spell formations. Seal fractures before corruption can widen them. I strike carefully. Every movement intentional. Every pulse of light controlled. And still, it isn't enough. There are too many. Demons push against the lines relentlessly, adapting mid-fight. Their corruption spreads in waves that strain wards faster than I can stabilize them. Soldiers begin to falter not from fear, but exhaustion. Human mages burn through reserves. Elven defenses crack under sustained assault. I hold control. But control begins to feel like limitation. For the first time in a long while, restraint feels dangerously close to weakness. I refuse to let the green light surge blindly. I refuse to let desperation take hold. But the battlefield does not slow. Lines bend. Then bend further. I feel at the tipping point. Not collapse yet. But near. And in the middle of chaos, something unexpected happens. My thoughts do not shift toward anger. They do not ignite with fury. They go somewhere else entirely. Home. Mom's steady voice. Dad's determined stance during training. Tessa's quiet trust. Emily's pink spark trembling in her hands. Not fear of losing them. Not rage at what threatens them. Just certainty. I will protect them. Not because I must. Because I choose to. Something within the green light answers. Not violently. Not explosively. Warmly. It deepens beneath my skin, not like a weapon primed to detonate, but like a current settling into its true depth. The glow grows steadier, richer, wider. And I understand something instantly. This isn't desperation. This is devotion. The green light expands not outward in chaos, but outward in protection. It spreads across the battlefield in a controlled wave, reinforcing defensive lines automatically, strengthening shields beyond what I consciously direct. It doesn't lash out, it stabilizes. Where soldiers falter, they steady. Where wards crack, they hold. The demons press harder and meet resistance that no longer fractures under pressure. The glow forms something I've never shaped before, a protective force wide enough to shield not just a point but a people. I am not burning through power. I am standing within it. And for the first time, the green light does not feel like something I'm using. It feels like something that understands me. The tide shifts. Not instantly. Not dramatically. But decisively. Demons that once advanced confidently now slow. Corruption fails to spread beyond reinforced boundaries. Human mages rally. Elven commanders regain footing. The battlefield stabilizes where it had begun to fracture. And I realize. The next phase was never meant to be unlocked by destruction. It was never about breaking something open. It was about widening what I was willing to protect. Control was phase 1. This is something else. Protection fueled not by fear but by love. The demons begin to retreat. Not rooted. Not annihilated. But forced back by something they cannot twist into corruption. I stand in the center of the battlefield as the glow slowly settles, breath steady, mind clear. No collapse. No backlash. No loss of self. The green light hums quietly beneath my skin, deeper than before. And I understand with certainty. Power born from anger can shatter worlds. Power born from devotion can hold them together. And whatever comes next, it will not be unlocked by destruction. It will be unlocked by what I refuse to let fall. Chapter 10 Phase 2 Love. The battle does not end in fire. It ends in understanding. The demons withdraw not broken, not destroyed, but repelled by something they cannot corrupt. The battlefield settles slowly, steel lowering, spells dimming, soldiers standing in stunned silence as the last echoes of conflict fade into wind. I stand there longer than I need to. The green light hums beneath my skin, different now. Warmer. Deeper. It is no longer restraint alone holding it steady. It is not control layered over pressure. It feels rooted. Anchored in something that does not fracture under strain. And I recognize it for what it is. Phase 2. Love. Not romantic. Not fragile. Protective. Expansive. It isn't mastered, not even close. I can feel how unstable it still is beneath the surface, how much I don't yet understand. But it has awakened. And that changes everything. I return home long after the battlefield quiets. Every step feels heavier than the last, though I ignore it at first. The glow beneath my skin remains steady, but it presses inward now, dense and weighty, as if sustaining it requires more than I realized. The door opens. Warm light spills across the floor. Emily runs toward me the moment she sees me, her small arms lifting without hesitation. I kneel instantly and pull her into my chest. She hugs me tightly, completely trusting, completely unaware of how close the world came to unraveling again. A faint pink shimmer flickers around her hands in response to my presence, gentle and calm. The green and pink lights touch. Not clashing. Harmonizing. For a moment, everything feels right. Tess stands nearby, watching quietly. My parents linger just behind her. There is relief in their eyes, but also something cautious. They can see it. The difference. I try to stand. The world tilts. The warmth beneath my skin shifts from steady to overwhelming. The weight I ignored crashes down all at once. Phase 2 is not something I was prepared to hold fully. Using it before understanding it has cost more than I anticipated. The strength leaves my body without warning. My knees give out. I barely hear Tess move before my vision darkens at the edges. The room blurs. Sound dulls. The green glow flickers, not extinguished, but unstable. And through the fading haze, I hear her. Small. Panicked. Daddy, please be okay. Emily's voice cuts through everything. It anchors me, but not enough to keep me upright. The last thing I feel before darkness takes me is her grip tightening on my shirt, pink light trembling around her fingers. Then nothing. Suspended between power gained and the cost of unlocking it too soon.